I'm on a quick little break here in my Chinese lessons for the day, and I've learned two very fascinating things that I wanted to share with you. Number one, in Chinese, I'm going to read this off my computer to make sure I get this right. In Chinese, if someone starts a question with a negative statement, for example, aren't you blank, right? So aren't you Canadian? Aren't you American? Aren't you, I don't know, aren't you a teacher? Aren't you blank? And they're asking that as a question. In English, we would tend to reply with a negative as well. So if you said, hey, aren't you a teacher? I would say, oh, no, I'm not a teacher, I'm an engineer, or whatever it is. In Chinese, it's not exactly like that. In Chinese, you would say, hey, aren't you a teacher? And the translation, you would essentially say, yeah, you're correct. You're correct. I am a whatever engineer. So your initial response is not a negative, but it's a positive, which is a little bit of a difference between the two languages. Also, another difference, and this one really threw me for a loop for like a good 7 minutes, 8 minutes. I was trying to hash this out because it doesn't make sense to my brain. In English, if I want to say if your time zone is ahead of mine, I would say it's ahead. So for example, if it's 12 o'clock here, 12 o'clock p.m., and it's 3 p.m. where you are, I would say you are 3 hours ahead of me. In Chinese, if I understood this right, instead of saying you are 3 hours ahead of me, I would say you are 3 hours earlier than me, which doesn't make any sense in my brain because you are actually 3 hours later than me, but yet I would still say you are 3 hours earlier, and vice versa. If I wanted to say you are, let's say it's 3 o'clock where you are, 12 o'clock p.m. where I am, in English I would say, hey, I am 3 hours behind you, or excuse me, or I'm 3 hours earlier than you. My time zone is 3 hours earlier than you. In Chinese, the translation would be, I am 3 hours later than you. That was my understanding. If there's a native Chinese speaker and I've got this way off, please let me know, but I'm pretty sure I understood that correctly. And to me, it's a backwards logic compared to an English logic. So, a couple interesting things that I learned. I started French and French immersion when I was 5 years old. So I did all my school in French, and then when I was in university, I majored in French and Spanish, for that matter, French and Spanish. And then I've also lived. So when I was 15, I studied for roughly 1 semester in France. And then when I was in university, I studied for 1 semester when I was 15. Then I went back just with my family, roughly, I think it was the same year, maybe 1 year later. And then I studied again in France. I took some classes there when I was in university, some spring classes, and then yeah. So now I teach English, French, and Spanish full time. Those are the 3 that I teach. You have mucho and muy, right? Now, muy is used before words such as muy grande, muy pequeño, muy, I don't know, muy importante, important, right? Mucho is used more for things like es mucho dinero. What are you seeing? What are you noticing a pattern? The keywords. You got it. So muy is used with adjectives. So muy grande, muy pequeño, muy, I don't know, muy whatever, any adjective. Mucho, muchas, muchos, and mucha, those ones are all used before nouns. In Espanol, if you want to say, for example, you know how to say, for example, I eat an apple. How do you say that? Yo coma? No coma. Como? Sí, como una manzana. I eat an apple. Now, how would you say I eat it? Like, as in, I don't want to, like, let's say we're talking about apples. We've said apples 1,000 times. And we're like, okay, we want to not say apple anymore. We want to say it. ¿Cómo dirías? How would you say it? Want to venture a guess? You haven't learned it, so you're shooting blind, but go for it. No. Wrong. Lo, la, los, las. So for example, una manzana is feminine. Correct? Feminine. So you want to say I eat it and you're talking about apples. Yo la como. So in English, we put the it after the verb. In Spanish, they put it before. Et toi, ça va?
Oui, ça va. Je viens d'arriver chez moi.
Ah oui?
Et c'est ce week-end, c'est le premier temps que je vais être chez moi pour plus qu'une soir.
Ah, wow. D'accord.
Après, je pense le 25 de juin, peut-être.
Wow, la vache.
C'était un long temps pour moi.
Ah oui, ah, c'est très longtemps.
Je sais pas. Je vais être très équipé pour les prochaines 3 semaines parce que je vais déménager
À Paris.
en 3 semaines et demie, je pense.
Ouais. Bah oui. Bah oui, bah oui.
Le vendredi dernier, j'ai fait l'entrevue pour mon visa.
Oui.
Et j'espère que je vais obtenir le visa la semaine prochaine. Sinon, je sais pas le plan.
On va voir. Cross your fingers, non?
Exactement. Oui, je pense, il n'y a pas une raison pour laquelle pour moi de pas le voir.
Hello, my fellow anchorites. I hope you guys are doing well. Today is Thursday, July 20th, 2017. It is 4:31 p.m. where I am. And today we're going to be debunking a language learning myth. I've actually found this myth. It's a whole freaking, 3-4 paragraphs on it on a website called effectivelanguagelearning.com. And yeah, well, let's jump right in. So the myth on the website here is that children learn second languages quickly and easily. And this is such a crazy myth, right? I mean, I've talked to so many different people, even people that actually know something about language learning and are not completely outside of the whole language learning space. It's so interesting to see how many people really believe this is true. And I'll be honest with you guys, even me, for a very long time, used to assume that children do tend to learn second languages quickly and easily. However, what I've noticed now that I've actually been teaching more and working with more children and teaching them French, Spanish, English, etc., I've noticed that, man, there are many children who really just stink. Jessica, bye. Jessica, bye, monkey. See you, Jeff.